Hey guys, Litreocola here from nerdstomper.com with a guide on playing Shadow Dance. In this guide, I'm going to go over, how to spec, how to gem, and how to reforge your gear, as well as, some basics on playing Shadow Dance. The key benefits of specking in Shadow Dance are, you've got Shadow Step for better mobility. That allows you to make a lot of swaps in arena, prevents you from getting kited too much, and also allows you to make escapes, both in arena or if you're running flags in Warsong or something. It also, through Shadow Dance and your extra Vanish, it has far better control than other specs because of mostly those extra garrotes that you can get off. Also, Honor Among Thieves provides, a crit buff for your group. You get combo points with doing group or critting, so it really caters well to group fights. Find Weakness is that 50% armor ignore that you get from specking the subtlety on your openers, and that lets you drop a lot of burst, especially on plate targets that rely on armor. And Elusiveness, drops your cloak and in blind and vanish cooldowns right now. And currently, you at level 80, you can only get that by specking the subtlety. Some drawbacks to specking Shadow Dance are that you have to use crippling poison, both as assassination and as combat. You guys have automatic 70% snares, either through Deadly Brew or through Blade Twisting. As subtlety, you have to use crippling poison in your offhand. Waylay is only 50%. It's not 70%. It just doesn't cut it. You can't use that. It also has the lowest sustained damage of any rogue spec. It makes up for that with burst, but it does have the lowest sustained. It also really doesn't have any means of doing like good area of effect damage. Combat, you can do a lot of AE with popping Blade Flurry. I know that might not sound like a big deal in arena, but in particular for like killing pets and stuff like that, it can be a big deal. Also, it's not really good at taking sustained damage. You've got Cheat Death, which is great for surviving burst, but you don't have like quick recovery or like passive armor or stuff like that to make you easier to heal. So although subtlety isn't necessarily as good at toe-to-toeing as the other rogue specs are, it does offer for basically a lot of options that you simply don't have as other rogue specs. A lot of swap opportunities, a lot of lockdown that you just can't achieve with the other rogue specs. And I personally think it's just a lot more fun to play because there's a lot more room for creativity. When you spec into subtlety, the key ability in this tree is Shadow Step. Changed a bit in 4.0. The damage buff only affects Ambush and Garrote, but it's 30% instead of 20% like it used to be. The major change is that when you're Shadow Stepping, you're immune, kind of like the old school Vanish. So you can. It's kind of buggy, but if you time it right, you can Vanish immune or rather Shadow Step immune. Like kidney shots, death coils, blinds, whatever. So that's kind of cool. Hope that stays in. Master Subtlety, just extra damage out of stealth, plays off the strengths of subtlety real well. It's just your calling, just more damage, a little bit more dodge. The Mastery is Executioner. Not that great right now. Not worth trying to pick out Mastery gear. Hopefully they'll make that a bit better, but it's nothing to complain about. The key talents in this tree, Relentless Strikes, kind of a must-have. You're going to be using a lot of finishers. This will help prevent you from getting energy starved off those finishers. Elusiveness, reduces cooldowns of Vanish, Blind, Cloak. That's pretty essential for rogues. You need that stuff to stay alive. Opportunity, a lot more damage from this talent. Energetic Recovery, this is actually like one of the best damage increasing talents in the tree. A lot of people overlook this, but 12 energy every 3 seconds is essentially a 40% increase in energy regen. So that's a really big deal, actually. It's kind of like a mini adrenaline rush. Find Weakness, a lot of burst out of stealth with this, especially on warriors and paladins that rely on their armor. Hemorrhage and Sanguinary Vein kind of go hand in hand. Really increases your sustained damage by keeping that 10% damage buff up from having a bleed on your target. Honor Among Thieves, 5% crit for your whole group. Lots of combo points when you're in a group fight. It's really good to have. Prep, staple talent of the tree. Lots of stuff you can do with this. Slaughter from the Shadows, just reduction on backstab energy cost. makes the ability a lot more attractive when it's only 40 energy instead of 60. And Shadow Dance, I mean, that's the reason you spec in the tree. Imp Recuperate goes hand in hand with energetic recovery, and reduces the damage you take, significantly increases the healing the ability does as well, by bringing it up to 5% of your HP every 3 seconds instead of 3%. And then in Assassination, you're basically here just for more damage, so that's why you go with Lethality, because that increases your damage more than Coup de Grace does right now. Lethality used to be a crappy talent when Rizil reduced the crit rate, but now that it doesn't, Lethality is one of the best talents that we've got in low tier trees. Alright, kind of the must-have glyphs for Shadow Dance are Glyph of Backstab. Every time you crit, it's going to be 35 energy instead of 40 energy. You crit a lot in the current build, so you definitely want to pick this up. Glyph of Shadow Dance, increase the duration of your dance, lets you do a lot more with that. 1 or 2 extra abilities you're going to get off can make all the difference. And then your third glyph, you've got some room for kind of like, what you want here. Depends a bit on your playstyle, your gear, what you like to do. I like Glyph of Hemorrhage, that bleed. It's not really a big deal on the damage on its own, but it allows you to throw a quick bleed debuff up, so you get, that 10% damage buff from Sanguinary Vein. Rupture is good too if you're rolling Ruptures with straight up blades. And Eviscerate is good too, just 10% extra crit. So you can really get either of those 3, they're all good. For your major glyphs, Garrote is a must-have. 5 seconds silence, anytime you vanish or anytime you pop dance, is super good. You'll see a lot of rogues, myself in particular, when you're shadow dancing, you'll chain 2 Garrotes back to back for like 7.5 seconds silence, and you like 6-second kidney. It's pretty ridiculous, and that's really where a lot of the strength of this spec comes from. Actually, it's just that one glyph. Glyph of Blind. Big problem with blind is that you can't blind targets that are dotted. That takes that away. And you've got some room again here for kind of what you want. Sprint Glyph is real nice. So is the Prep Glyph. Cloak, really good as well. Crypt Glyph. It's kind of whatever you want. I like the Sprint Glyph. Just for extra mobility in battlegrounds and whatnot. It's really up to you. Right, now for gearing, you're going to want to favor any pieces of gear that you have with agility on them instead of like the older attack power pieces. You basically get a lot more bang for your buck on those pieces. If it means that you're sacrificing resilience on those pieces, you can always gem resil. You might have to do that anyways, depending on how much resil you're running with your gear set. It depends, what you're comfortable with, what you're playing, how much you care about tanking damage. But definitely you want to go with agilities for your reds, and then either resilience or haste for your yellows. So basically haste for damage, result for survivability. You can kind of mix that up as well. Hit was changed to blue here, so any of your blue gems you're going to want to dump an agility hit gem in there instead of like a stam or something like that. You also notice that on a lot of this gear it's been reforged. On all of like your PvP gear and stuff like that, really any gear you've got. If the item doesn't have haste on it, you're going to want to reforge like crit to haste. If you're over hit cap, you can also reforge hit to haste as well. But now that haste increases your energy regen rate, you're going to want to get as much as you can. Subtlety is really focused around maximizing your openers on targets. When you open on somebody, you're generally going to want to use that premeditation to get recuperate up before you open. If you get the time to wait around, what you can do is you can pre-med, and then use those combo points for recuperate right as premeditation's coming off cooldown. So I'll do that right now so I can demonstrate that. On your opener, you're going to pre-med, right as that's coming off cooldown, and then Garrote right as your pre-med's about to pop that first tick, so you get the energy from that. And then you'll kidney shot 5 combo points, and basically just keep backstabbing to 5 combo points. Like I said earlier, like keeping recuperate up as a spec is pretty essential, because it's a lot of energy regen that you get back from that. Keeping a bleed debuff up with hemorrhage, really good as well. And slice and dice, I mean, any rogue spec, slice and dice is like huge for the damage that you do. So then when you actually want to shadow dance on something, you're going to want to have recuperate and slice and dice up. And what you're going to do with your dance is once you get your group and slice and dice up, you're gonna get like 3 or 4 combo points, pop Shadow Dance, garrote like this, and then ambush twice. At that point, you can either try to garrote again, or just kidney shot and just keep doing damage. That's basically the best way to unload as much damage as possible in your dance and put a lot of pressure. Let's go over some brief pointers about Shadow Dance. Your stopping power comes from a garrote to kidney shot lockout. To maximize the damage that you do during that lockout, you're going to want to maximize recuperate and slice and dice up time. You're also going to want to wait for max energy and the opportune moment to pop Shadow Dance. It's a minute cooldown, so you want to make sure that you're using it both when you're the most prepared and your target is the least prepared. So some things are like powered shield cooldowns, various other like instant heal cooldowns. It's a lot better to Shadow Dance than your target when they're at 80% health than, you know, when they're at 100% health, because that's a lot less, you know, damage that you've got to do. Overall, though, you've got to familiarize yourself with the spec and, you know, what you're capable of doing with it. And you've always got to stay flexible because, you know, a lot of subtlety's power comes from the fact that it can do a lot of stuff that people aren't necessarily expecting, and you've always got a lot of options. So you've got to make sure that you understand those options and you're ready to work with them. You know, those ideal openers, they don't always happen. So you've got to be prepared to, you know, go with what you can do. Alright, these aren't the best duels here, but they do demonstrate, you know, the strength of that, you know, typical Shadow Dance opener I was talking about earlier. A lot of times you don't even have to pop Shadow Dance to get a kill on somebody, you just have to get that garrote into a kidney shot, just because of how much damage you do. A lot of the strength in that opener comes from the fact that you're silencing into a stun, and a lot of strength also comes from that 50% armor ignore that you get from subtlety on your openers. None of these guys really live through the opener. Serenus here is able to, you know, get a War Stomp off into Nature's Grasp. It's not really enough to keep him alive. He just kind of gets flattened here because he shifted out. This pre-side duel here, though, does live through the opener because he trinkets my kidney shot. What's going to happen there is I'm going to, you know, kind of wait on my diminishing returns and then, you know, blind him and sap to, you know, let diminishing returns wear off and then do that same opener again. And that's basically how you play the spec, is you kind of, you know, you base your pressure around those openers and you try to, you know, work around getting as many, you know, garrote and kidney shots off as you can, maximizing the damage you do during that, and, you know, prevent your opponent from doing too much in between that stun lock. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure to check out the macros I got listed at nerdstomper.com. I think they're pretty helpful in playing Shadow Dance. Frees up a lot of keybinds, helps you play the spec smoother. I hope you learned something and have fun playing Shadow Dance. Thanks. Bye.